You want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And I'm actually here. I was not prepared for this here. And for some reason, on the YouTube side for actual phones, it is not showing everything the way that is. Oh, by the way, StreamYard made a couple of changes here. So welcome to the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee here. We got a pretty interesting show lined up for you here because why? It is another What Grinds My Gears episode here. We want to talk about a couple of things here dealing with how the state of comics are as of right now. And to be quite honest with you here, I think there is a way to bring more people to the fold here, to get into comics, but I don't think people are willing to do it. And I will explain a little bit more a little bit later here. And there's Tori. Tori is here. Oh, even the on these screens, the information goes at the very top. So that is weird here. They actually got it where it's formats for phone here, so it's now vertical. And since I'm not dead center to the cameras, you get to see part of my face here. But nevertheless, let's get going here as far as the overall show here. So let's make certain that we take care of the business end to let people know that Stupid O'Clock still happens 1 hour into our show tonight here at 11 p.m. Eastern. Then that's followed up by Last Man Standing. Then you get that respite until Monday when you get Nicholas Tucker. Then never mind the furthermore at 10 a.m. Eastern. And yes, we are still doing Comic Book Spectrum next week here because my stupid brain thought that next week was the week of Thanksgiving. It is not. Next week, I believe, what do we have for this one here? Oh, Goldar. Goldar and the Golden Lance. We're going to be talking about that show as well as some other things dealing with geek culture and comic book wizardry. But nevertheless, it is that time once again for us to get into the new comic book pickups for the week here. And Tori is up here saying, "Oh, it looks fine on the desktop." Yeah, I know. It's like way StreamYard has it set up. It's just kind of formatted for actual cell phone. So I was just curious how it would look on a cell phone. I know if you're watching it through like YouTube, it's going to look fine. It's going to look very fine and everything here. But if it's if you're watching it like on like Facebook, it formats it for a cell phone now, and it's just weird how I got it set up here. But anyway, let's get into new comic book pickups for the week. And here we go again with new comic book pickups for the week. This week is going to be a little bit slow, only a handful of books here. Does not mean that anything doesn't come later on in the day here. We're getting things ready to head out to storage here. So we're going to start out with the following here, which is New Mutants number 18. They're still talking about Demon Bear in this issue here, trying to get this where it's not glary. There we go, a little bit Then we got our Danny Moonstar there. Then we got our New Mutants 46, first Great Lakes Avengers. And then we got a modern Jughead here. The only reason I know it's modern Jughead because it's a $1 book. And then we got Spider-Gwen number 4. The Atom number 2. I believe this is the Ryan Choi Atom. Then we got some old school Betty and Veronica issue number 88. I think this goes back to like 1960. And then we got Angel and the Ape number 6. And this series, I know for a fact, only went 7 issues. I already got, I think it's issue 2 and 6 now. Bob Hope, Adventures of Bob Hope 46. And lastly, we got a Adventures of Jerry Lewis 103. And that is new comic book pickups for the week here, unless there are new books that came before the show here on today. But we're going to kick it right back to the studio here so we could move on with our tonight's presentation. And there we go here. And I'm with you on this one here. I am looking forward to the Danny Moonstar book. Whenever they do decide to come out with it, it should be fun and everything here. So that brings us to the portion where we're doing the accountability and updates here. I am working on page 8 as of right now, the last page of the 1 chapter for Legends of the Giantess Slayer. So once I finish that this weekend or hopefully tomorrow, I'll go ahead and start the lettering, assemble issue number 3, and then I will be ready to rock and roll with that series now, because now I got 3 issues already done, ready to go. So I'll probably be ready to release that here for C2E2 coming next year. Outside of that, I still got to work on the first not story arc, but the first bout for Primetime Saturday Night number 6. That one, I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to allow this one character to win more so than anything else, and the rest kind of writes itself. So with that being stated, we took care of accountability. It may be a short show depending on how long you guys keep me ranting about this here. And yes, this really grind my gears this week here. And reason I did it, speculation on the silliest things. I just don't understand why certain aspects of a comic title that has nothing to do with the actual story drives the price of a comic up beyond what it's supposed to be. True story. And it happened over this week here. I was up here trying to get the last issue of what I was missing in the Dazzler Volume 1 series here, which is Dazzler 33. For those who don't know Dazzler 33, there's nothing special about the issue other than the fact that the cover played a little bit of a homage to Michael Jackson's Thriller. Had nothing to do with the story, had nothing to do with anything, no pop culture reference outside of that. So I up here, was a part of this one auction, and up here it's like, okay, I could probably get this, relatively inexpensive. So I'm up here like, okay, maybe somewhere about, $6 to $10. Next thing you know, it went from 10 to 15 to over $20 here. Doing wrestling pages takes longer than superheroes. Yes, it does. It does. It really does here. Because people are stupid. Yeah. And there's Drew. Hi, Drew. Yeah, the issue also had Michael Jackson, well, a stand-in. And it wasn't even really a stand-in. It was it was really spoofing the fact that she was doing a music video in that issue here. That was really what's going on here. But people people were speculating on, it's the Thriller cover. It's going to be more expensive. So people are up here paying upwards of over $25 for this book. And I was like, you got to be crazy. So I was like, okay, I let that one go. I let that one go. And I went out. I took a look at eBay and a couple other things here. I was seeing that everybody's charging absurdly high prices for this one book. So I up there was like, okay, fine. I found another copy on the same auction site. And I'm not going to mention the auction site name per se because I don't know if it was legitimate or not, but I'm going to assume that it is because it's not the fact that it happened. It was more along the lines of how ironic that the price, jumped up that high within less than a 10-minute period. So I looked at another one for another auction for the same issue. Nobody has bidded on it. And it was due Friday. It was supposed to have been up Friday about like 9, I want to say 9:30, 9:45 yesterday. So on Wednesday, I put my bid in there. And I put my max bid at $21. And the reason I put it in as 21 because I looked at what they were doing with eBay and everything to that magnitude and everything, and we were going from there. Oh, well, I'm telling you how things are going right now because it's like, oh, I'm ready to kind of like really kind of be like that voice of reason right now for what I'm about to get ready to talk about. Yeah, that it's like, and oh, how's it going? Yeah, this week. Yep. And then everybody saying hi to one another. Yeah, anything remotely related to related to it jumped up. So it's the auction started at 99 cents. So I'm up here thinking it's like, okay, if the other one barely hit 25, I should be able to, to safely get this right about, 20 the $21 mark. Guess again, within the last 30 minutes of that auction, off of 2 extra bids, that book went over $21. Now, I do find it suspect because usually you have to go in increments of $1 above, but you do have your max. You could put in your max. And I don't think anybody would automatically jump to $20 or $21 off the jump unless they knew that there was going to be enough people that were going to force it upwards to that. So I'm up here thinking I'm safe. Lo and behold, I didn't win that auction. And I go back and start looking more into, it's like, why is there so much spec on this book? And everybody keeps saying, it's like, well, it's because it's the Michael Jackson Thriller. It's like, but it's the stupidest reason to spec on this book to raise the price on it. And then it started making me think about Gen 13 and the Janet Jackson Rolling Stone cover. Yeah, it's a variant. It was short run printed. When it first came out, yeah, the demand was high. Even now, I don't see paying speculative prices for that cover. It doesn't make sense. The novelty of it has faded. If anything, it is kind of making it a period piece to show how weird the 90s were as far as the over reliance of variant covers. And it makes me go back and think about all the nonsensical stuff that would drive a price of a book up for no apparent reason, such as The book has been optioned, but a brand new title. The title's been optioned to either be a TV show or a movie, but there is no fan base for the title as of yet because it hasn't been fully released. We haven't even got past issue number 2, and they're up here. It's like, well, the show has already been optioned. It doesn't even have a true fan base as of yet, but yet we're paying through the nose after New Comic Book Day for copies of it because they're running with the fact that it's been optioned, or they're running the totals up because there's a weird error within the book which has been recalled and reissued before it really got circulated. Those are the types of things that it's like, it just seems silly for people to raise the prices of for these books here, especially in the modern age of comics, more so than anything else. I mean, those types of things really doesn't make it, homages doesn't make the book sell any better. I mean, if anything, it's like if you're going to pay for a homage for Amazing Spider-Man 300, might well go ahead and get Amazing Spider-Man 300, pay the money to get that. You don't need a Amazing Spider-Man 300 homage on an Archie comic book. It doesn't make any sense. Just like you won't get like, and don't get me wrong, you probably wouldn't pay through the nose for an Amazing Spider-Man cover that's done by Dan Parrott, featuring Archie characters. It just doesn't fit. Unless you're a Dan Parrott fan, it's not something that most people would want to, pay extra money for, per se. It's kind of like the silliest little things to get more money out of our pockets here. But the reason I'm bringing it up in this aspect, as far as the speculation is concerned, is that nowadays people are finding more and more reasons to make something a key or a sought after book for no apparent reason. And it's just weird in that aspect. It's just very weird. It's like any homages are now, causing people to pay extra money for a book when they shouldn't have to. And it's just, those to me, it's just kind of like weird in that aspect here. And yeah, I'm so sick of the ASM 300 and the 340s. I mean, it's a lot of them. I mean, you have those two. You still have the John Byrne Sensational She-Hulk 1 homages. You have dang it, I forgot who. I want to say it's Buscema that did Savage She-Hulk 1. There are people that does homages to that. The Steranko Hulk cover, the Steranko Hulk annual cover. People have done homages to that. I mean, but even worse, homages to Maxim magazine. It serves no purpose. The Rolling Stone ones, or the Vanity Fair, the Demi Moore Vanity Fair. People have done homages to that. The spec that happens from that doesn't help the readership, the collectorship, nor the bottom line to a lot of people being able to buy it in the first place, especially since it was short run. Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. Hulk 340 is shit. To me, Hulk 340 is kind of common. Seeing a reflection in something is not uncommon. I mean, did they do something similar to that way back in the day? Because I think it was like, what, going back to Savage She-Hulk Savage She-Hulk number 6 or 8, the Iron Man cover where you have Iron Man looking dead on, and you get to see kind of like She-Hulk either on the mask or in the eyes of Tony. You know, the whole reflective thing have been done to death here. That's nothing new. Yeah, 6. Thank you, Tori. Yeah, it was 6. I mean, the whole reflection thing is not a big deal, so I get it. You know, the whole Hulk 340, but again, people go goo goo gaga over it because it was Todd McFarlane. It's people fandom for the artist and not the overall substance of the cover. Just like how people go goo goo gaga over the Spider-Man 1 that he did. And they did all of these different versions of that same Spider-Man 1, only for him to do his own. The only artist who I know that did, well, actually, he did it twice. He did an homage to himself twice. I don't count 300 to 301. That was just them using the cover twice. One where he's in the black suit and one when he's back in his regular. And it was back-to-back issues, 300 and 301. But Spider-Man number 1 got homaged again in Spider-Man 13, if I'm correct. And on the 13th issue, he pretty much did the exact same thing except in the black suit instead of the regular blue and red. But again, he's been known to quote unquote homage himself or have a tendency to reusing covers, but nobody really calls him out on it. But yet there's speculation, because of the simple fact that it's an homage to himself. Therefore, it's worth more. It's like, really, it's not. It really serves no purpose to a story. It really serves no purpose to anything in particular to the character itself. It's just homaging his own artwork where he just like, okay, fine. Instead of having the original suit, we're going to put him in the black suit again. It is what it is. Spawn 8. I'm trying to think what Spawn 8 homaged. I forgot what Spawn 8 homages, but that's just weird. It's just weird in that aspect, but that was Todd McFarlane. But yet, we got all these different homages. Another homage. She-Hulk 100. Homage the original Iron Man 100. Yeah, oh, that's right. So he did it twice. He did it twice. Spider-Man 13 and Spawn 8. Wow. Yep. I'm here for Todd doing Todd. Yep. Yeah, Spawn in the Spider-Man 1 and 13 post. Exactly. It's just, it's like I love Spider-Man, but they're making him making him so miserable in the comics. I'm not a big Spider-Man reader, so I'm the wrong person to really ask or comment on that. I'm not one to say that there's certain changes I wish they would make to Peter, and there's certain changes that I would like for them to make to Miles. But it is what it is. And there's Aaron. But saying all this to say is that people who do go crazy over this type of stuff, to me, kind of ruins my methodology of collecting books, because I don't see why a book would be worth that much more, all because of something that was insignificant. I mean, if you truly think about it, it's like DC not too long ago did the whole movie covers. To me, they weren't really speculated on, but yet I wouldn't put it past comic book sellers to try to do the markup because these were, so-called homages to movie covers. Same thing with Marvel with the hip hop covers. The comic book sellers did a heavy markup on it, but yet at the same time, it served no significance to a lot of the books that had them. It was nice to have, but some people are willing to pay the big money to get them in a 9.8. But saying all that to say, the select few is making things a much worse for the greater body. And something of that magnitude really needs to stop because you don't want to price brand new people out of comics, period. And little bitty things like that, tends to make people shy away from buying older stuff. And then with the way and the trends that we have with the newer books, $5 back in the day used to be able to buy you close to 10 books. $5 now barely buy you one. So it's kind of like one of those things here. Yeah, Michael Jackson fans collect Dazzler 33, but don't know any better. But even so, there's not Michael Jackson is not trending now. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody is really looking for that book solely for the Thriller homage as a whole. It shouldn't be a $20 book. At best, it might be a $10 book at its upper echelon, just based upon the fact of its age. For it to go on eBay, and I've seen it on eBay, people asking anywhere between $30 and like $80 raw, not slabbed, raw for that book. I'm scratching my head. It's like, no, y'all pricing people out of collecting a series or having all the issues for a whole entire series for something that was insignificant in that aspect here. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that here. But that's kind of like the thing that always grinds my gears about that. Another one, I know Parallax and I had talked, until we blew in the face about this one. Sensational She-Hulk 40. All because of, I won't even say innuendo. It was a joke that was played in that issue. And the cover pretty much sets it all up here that she jumped rope in the nude. But it was nothing out of the ordinary other than a commentary about sexualization of female superheroes. People don't talk about that aspect. It was speculated on the fact that she jumped rope nude. That book still, to this day, is worth more than her origin in Savage She-Hulk 1, which doesn't make any sense. Even the Vanity Fair homage cover with her and the beach ball still commands more money than her origin, which does not make any sense. But that is because of speculation and the silliest speculation that is out there. It's like there was no real stipulation, there's no stipulation about that. But with Sensational She-Hulk 40, yes, it was low printed, but it wasn't low printed that much where it commanded that price that it is today. The Vanity Fair cover, the same thing. It was a lower print run, but there's no true demand for it like like they claiming that it is, to have that book be that high. Quiet, Joe. Don't lowball me. I know what I got. Yeah, I know what you got. I'm not trying to lowball you. I'm not saying that the book doesn't have value, but the value that people are putting on it now is not that high. I would not say that Dazzler 33 is a $60 or $80 book. Raw, that is. Not slab, raw. And we're not even talking about a 9.8 raw. We're talking about people putting out here things that are like fine, fine plus very fine, trying to get $60 to $80 for it. That's just not right. It's not right. It really isn't. Yeah, chill it now. Exactly. So Aaron knows exactly what it is. Yep. Yeah, because these dude bros have never opened it. And that's part of the problem. That's the reason why it grinds my gear so much, and the reason why I wanted to kind of propose how we fix this problem here. Because it's kind of weird in that aspect. Yes, all of these same dude bros like the harper derpa twerking, uh, yeah, in the show, so stupid, bad show, burn it. Again, She-Hulk twerking in the show, that's a bad thing. She-Hulk jump rope, so supposedly jump roping nude in the actual book, that's a great thing. Yeah, people just really don't know what they want and how they want it and all the other stuff here. But how do I propose to fix the problem? It's rather simple. Let the book be valued based upon its own merit for a change. And when I say based upon its own merit, we take in consideration of other factors like the actual demand for that book by actual readers and collectors. And I say readers and collectors because you got people who collect comics pretty much for covers and art. I'm not going to deny them the opportunity of grabbing, a copy for that aspect here. And yeah, it was a Sienkiewicz cover. I'm not taken away from the fact that it was a Sienkiewicz cover for that Dazzler 33. But then again, not a lot of people are into Sienkiewicz's artwork. You want to know how I know? Because everybody kept saying, "Oh, the covers he did for New Mutants was ugly." It's like, no, it was just different. It was unique and different. I think it was kind of wasted on New Mutants. But what he did, the few that he did for Dazzler, kind of fits what they were trying to do in the actual book itself, where they started to focus more on her music career, and that more painted style kind of worked in that aspect, especially in the 80s. That stuff actually worked pretty well here. When I it's like when I would buy a higher dollar book in the past, I would make certain that the price tag was off of it when it went through the run. Yeah, hello, laughing. Yeah, it's like I have been fighting that Dazzler fight for about 20 years. It's it's a hard fight, and it's one that needs to be brought out more so than anything. And it's like even now they're up here trying to speculate. Well, there was a couple of speculations with Dazzler that really threw everybody for a loop, and some people got by it. It's like the whole thing about Taylor Swift being her in the MCU was one of them, and then the whole Doom controversy as far as Doom is going to be Doom. It's like Doom is coming out, Doomsday is coming out, this, that, or the other. We might have this version of Doom that was from this issue. and I believe they're talking about issue 3 of Dazzler. All of a sudden, it had like a speculation spike, and now it plummeted back down. And that's what I'm saying: speculation on the silliest of things, not speculation on the aspect of, oh, I heard such and such artist is going to do something else dealing with the cover or something, some type of artwork, or he might end up working with a new writer to bring out a new series of Dazzler. That's something to spec on and to drive the price of the older books up, not the fact that some random celebrity is going to play the character. You might go see them in the movie. If you're not a comic book collector, it has nothing to do with the price of the book or how much of demand of the book is going to be, unless every last comic book collector and reader all up to decides that they want it right then and right there. That's another thing that people need to stop specking on. Stop specking on the fact that TV watchers and movie watchers are going to be comic book readers. I have said that several different times here. Those are really two different audiences, and the crossover is not one-to-one. And it's just weird that people keep thinking that. No, that was a good thing, but you got a lot of people. Too many people complained about that episode. And it was like, oh, that's not the She-Hulk from the book, and blah 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 blah. That's like, but yet I'm so mad because I can't get a sensational She-Hulk 40 where she, jump rope nude. I refuse to pay the $400 to get a 9/8 copy of that. I was like, sucks to be you. Sucks to be you. Julie is a dollar store dad. That's funny. Hashtag changed my mind. She's a Dollar Tree. Not even dollar store, Dollar Tree. Wow. However, you did like Vampire Jubilee. Okay. No one likes the New Mutants, and suddenly everybody loves it. And surprisingly enough, and you even know, it's like I started going back and filling in my gaps that I have with New Mutants as of right now. And you're right. Nobody really cared too much for the New Mutants. And now everybody and their grandmother is up here like, I got to get Demon Bear story. I got to get that Demon Bear story. Now I got to really buckle down and get that first Cable and first Deadpool. And I'm up here, it's like, the first Cable and first Deadpool, that's the end of the New Mutants series. You have no idea about what really went down with Magic and Danny Moonstar and Cannonball and the Hellions and all of these other great characters. Y'all just want to focus more on the whole aspect of how did Cable get here? Now all of a sudden we got parts of Six Pack now in the Marvel Universe. Now here comes Deadpool. And the Deadpool that you got in New Mutants 96 is not the Deadpool that we know and love right now. He was more of like the ultra spy as opposed to the wisecracking, kind of like, the psychotic killer that we got right now. Night and day differences. But yet, like Parallax says, like nobody cares about it until all of a sudden it's like, oh, we need all of this other stuff. I got to get the Demon Bear stories. Yeah, the same Demon Bear stories that you're up here talking about. Sienkiewicz's covers were ugly way back then. Right. Okay. Thanks, speculation. You're really tops with us. It's silly. It's all BS. Yeah, I got my first appearance of Dazzler like $50 near mint raw. I got it signed by Claremont. See, that would be something that I would be willing to, try to put some money down to get that graded and be like done. But what about the first? Oh, that's another one. Howard the Duck 16, and I believe 17. It's like they said it was a cameo in 16, and 17 is the actual appearance. So there's two issues that they spec'd on about Kiss. But the problem here is that Kiss did have a significant part in the Howard the Duck comic itself. I forgot which song it was from Kiss that became synonymously known with Howard the Duck. I know that they did it just recently in the What If TV series on Disney Plus. But yeah, it's still being heavily spec'd. And nobody's really going back to the old Howard the Duck like people like me who's like, yeah, I got a few I'm going to pick them up whenever I get a chance to pick them up, but I'm not going to rush out and pay $30 and $40 because it was the first cameo or the first appearance of Kiss in comics. No, that's just a means to drive what would have normally been like a $10 to $15 book to like $30 to $40 to $50. And Aaron is 100% correct about that. You know, things that are being speculated on based upon pop culture or a timestamp based upon culture of that time, because you have to think about it. I think that was late 70s that Howard the Duck 16 came out. No, I take that back. It was early 80s when Howard the Duck came out. It's just no one cares. Well, again, it's not about no one cares. It's just more along the lines about the stupid speculation that drives up the price of a book that no longer really need that markup. Yeah, I saw the New Mutants in there. Yep. Yeah, Dazzler 21 jumped up before, because of the whole Taylor Swift cover. And ironically enough, Dazzler 21 came out way before Taylor Swift was ever a thing here. Taylor Swift happened to do a similar pose for one of her concerts, and now we got to go and get this issue of issue 21 of Dazzler. On the aspect that Taylor Swift is going to be Dazzler for MCU movies, which still has not been confirmed, and most likely it's more denied than confirmed. That is not going to happen. But yeah, that bump, all because of speculative, it makes me go back to what I stated before when I read to you from the Marvel collector's guide, the guide to collecting comics. It explains speculation 100% accurately for comics. You don't take things like Taylor Swift becoming a character in a Marvel movie to spec on a comic. You spec on a comic based upon what you know about the comic book reading audience or the comic book buying audience, and seeing if it has legs enough to capture the majority of the reader and collectorship. You don't speculate on anything else but that. But yet, lo and behold, Dazzler 21 gets the markup. New Mutants movie was more than a 2-hour pilot. I would have loved the movie as a pilot, but the show had 10 episodes at like 40 minutes each. Yeah. I see Leia's sees Leia reflection in my claw. So no, you two about to get ready to start something. Avengers made $20 billion in theaters, but yet I see where you're going. Avengers comics sold less and less each year, each passing month. And we all know why. Movie-going audience are not comic book readers. However, there's enough comic book readers that would go and see an Avengers movie. And there's enough Avengers fans that would go see the Avengers movie. Like I said, comic book reading audience and movie going audience are not necessarily one to one when it comes to the crossover between the two. You will have more people crossing over to watch an Avengers movie than those who watch the Avengers movie crossing over to read the Avengers comics. All day, every day. You can pretty much bank on it. And then the one thing that I kind of wish happened more often, if there was a crossover coming where a moviegoer gets into the Avengers comic books, I really wish there was more of a process to get them into Avengers stuff, because of the simple fact that what happens in the movies are not what's happening in the comics. And they got to be some type of transition for them to get into the comic lore a little bit better than what it is here. I have New Mutants for you. Yeah, Boom Boom sucks. Yep, she does too. That's another character. If Jubilee is a Dollar Tree is a Dollar Tree Dazzler, then Boom Boom gotta be close to like the corner store bodega version of Dazzler. corner store slash bodega. Yeah, New Moon's 98 is one of the most poorly written books I have ever read in my life. And Deadpool sucks and still sucks in the books. I have a few issues and it's not bad. It's mainly trying to focus like Daredevil. And Dazzler 21 came out before the bitch was even born. Yep. You know who should play Dazzler? That's an interesting choice. That's an interesting choice for Dazzler. That might be a better fit here. But you know how Hollywood is. Hollywood's going to get whoever they can, whoever is the flavor of the month. And to be quite honest, if they did get Taylor Swift here, all of her fans will go and see whatever movie that she's in. That's what they're banking on. That's the whole messed up thing about marketing being editors in chiefs here. Yeah, thank you. That's the better fit. Boom Boom is Dazzler off Dazzler off T-Boo. That's a better description here. Boom Boom is a busted T-Boo. Y'all just being hilarious right now. But saying all that to say, how do we fix this? You know, we need to go back to what was stated in the Marvel Comics Guide to Collecting Comics here. We need to start talking about the books a little bit more and understand why there should be speculation on it based upon the actual sales, based upon the actual stories, based upon the actual characters, based upon the artwork. We stopped talking about that. Now, mind you, I don't like talking a lot about 90s comic books, but if it wasn't for a certain publication called Wizard Magazine, a lot of those 90 comic books probably would have been dead in the water, especially Image comic books, because again, they kept the posts on what was coming out from a lot of the more smaller press publishers, and while still hyping up the bigger names that was in the industry that was either working with Marvel, DC, but they really laid it on thick for Image books. You know, they were just there, you know, they're doing whatever here. Yeah, Parallax is in a Marvel Rivals kick right now. Yep. So we can yell at morons. Yep. Everyone's like, nope. He's like, I don't play video games like that. Leia, please know who's wearing the number one crown. Y'all are hilarious. Yeah, Wizard magazines were up and down. That X Force #1 was 45, was a $45 book. And to be quite honest with you, that's one of the reasons why I don't miss Wizard magazine. Now, you saw how I was talking about speculation on the silliest things here. One of the things about Wizard magazine that I hate, and I still hate to this day, even though it was, the thought that went into it made sense, the execution of it did not. And that was their price guide that was in the magazine. Their price guide was 100% unadulterated speculation. And that's when I was like, really was getting mad about the whole thing about the prices of new books 2 and 3 weeks after the fact that it came out in comic book stores. If you didn't get off the shelf on new comic book day, now you're going to pay the markup for it. And you have to think about, a markup of a book that was either like $1.50 to $1.75, $2 to a $15 to $20 book back in $90 was a very big jump compared to $5 to $25 now for like a 1 in 10 or 1 in 50, 1 in 10 or 1 in 25. That jump is beyond ridiculoso. But the reason I brought up Wizard was it did cover who working on the book, had the interviews with a lot of the writers and the artists and everything, for you could get a better understanding of what the titles and stuff that they're working on was about. You can become a fan of the writer or the artist based upon the articles and everything. They gave previews and everything to that magnitude. And every so often in those issues of those magazines, they would have either a certificate or even include like the 1/2 copies of those books as like actual ash cans and stuff to that magnitude for people to actually read and promote here. That to me would help a lot of people understand whether or not they should invest a little bit more. Now, one of the things that, like I said, I don't want ever to come back was their price guide, because their price guide was 100% speculative. 100% speculative because, like you said, X Force #1 was $45. X-Men #1, the Jim Lee X-Men #1, $50. Spawn #1, $80. And I was like, Spawn #1 just came out less than 2 months ago. How is it an $80 book? But yet you don't have books, older books from like the Silver Age in there as often. The more modern books, you did. And that's why I'm saying that speculative pricing was just really cringeworthy. It was really, really cringeworthy and everything to that aspect here. Now, as I stated, it was needed for one reason and one reason only. Overstreet was not coming out fast enough with newer information. By that time, the Overstreet Price Guide magazine was gone. Wizard was the only one that was out there really talking about possible comic book prices and everything, while Overstreet was pretty much volume to volume once a year. So if you had like the 1990 one, you have to wait to 1991 to get the next updated price guide to know how much your books went up in value or down in value. Wizard tried to alleviate this based upon sales data and do their own price guide. And when comic book stores found out about that and started to use that as a price guide, that's when I did that 180 and stopped patronizing their stores, because because Wizard over speculated a lot of books. It just was what it was here. Not to say that it's a bad thing to speculate. It's just more along the lines when it's over the top. It's too over the top. Period. I will poop on your plastic crown. Yeah, Joe, I really didn't like the '90s comics in general. it's just a play. Yeah, Comic Time is like modern day Wizard magazine. Yeah, but again, as much as I hate to say it, Comic Tom is an influencer. He is one of the top influencers in this. I always say industry because I don't really consider it a hobby per se, because it really depends on what you're doing here. If you're creating comics, you're part of an industry. If you're collecting it, then you're part of the hobby aspect of it. But there is a business mechanism that has a portion for anybody and everybody that's want to get into comics here. But yeah, Comic Tom to me is really more of an influencer that survives off of the speculation machine. Now, I don't know the guy personally, and some of the things that he say just makes me cringe, but I get what he's trying to do. I get what he's trying to do. I don't want to say I appreciate it, because I feel that some of the aspects of what he's talking about overinflates the demand and value of a lot of books. But he is one of the few people that I know that has a voice that people listen to when it comes to modern comics. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It is what it is. Oh my God, Action 723. Oh, that's don't bring that up. Don't bring that one up. Yeah, I do kind of agree with I do kind of agree that that was something else that was overly silly to speculate on. The boots ass laces. Oh my God, we got to buy all the copies of this type of book because it has laces. No, it's a design choice. It's a little bit. Wizard was the condensed super hyperbolic Stan Lee in the '90s extreme form. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that either, because towards the tail end of Wizard's life, it got to the point where it became more about television and movies than comics. People keep forgetting Wizard magazine made it to the 2000s. By the time it got to the 2000s, a lot of people weren't buying Wizard magazines solely for comics anymore. They had to move to kind of like a geek culture type atmosphere for it, talking more about things like Cleopatra 2024 and Xena and Hercules and whatever was the most popular movie that was going on out there. They still did their interviews with the upper echelon artists and writers for comics, but it was mostly about, who was starring in the latest sci-fi movie or who was starring in the latest comic book related movie and stuff to that magnitude here. But Wizard in the '90s, yeah, it was a ride. It was kind of like a ride to be on here, more so than anything else here. I thought you already know what her favorite comic is. Hi, Next Stabber. Good to see you. Yeah, I hate spec in general. I I'm getting some of the awesome ASM coming to me. Yep, price guys are always a little high though. Yeah, but again, a little high is okay. A little high is okay. A little high gives you wiggle room. Placing things out of people's legitimate buying availability is another thing here, especially for brand new books. My That's my whole gripe with a lot of this stuff. It just seems like since the Wizard 90s, what they did to New Comic Book Wednesday and newer books after that book got past that first week, that speculation bump became ridiculous for the most absurd of reasons. My jam is and always will be Fantastic Four. I'm also a big fan of Tarot, the Witch of the Black Rose, Daredevil, Wonder Woman. And I'm a big fan of Power Girl, Huntress, and Shoki. That's a good analogy, Victoria. He could technically be kind of like a Vince McMahon for comics, or better yet, Comic Time would be more of Eric Bischoff of comics. He wouldn't be Vince McMahon. He would be more like an Eric Bischoff. He would be the one guy in like if there was a Monday Night War in comics, he would be the Eric Bischoff pushing for more speculation in comics to give comic books more value than what they really are. So that's a good analogy. Comic Time is wrestling for comics. Yeah. I'm about to shout out Parallax Spectre in the last comic call. Cool. Excellent. So friends keeping friends in the mix here. But that's how we would fix something like that. We would need more people doing content like that, whether it be magazine format, YouTube videos, and everything, where we're talking about it's like, hey, you know, I met up with X, Y, and Z artists who have done this book, this book, and this book, and this book, and he's here to talk about, his next project. Start getting back to the olden days where we started to know a lot more about the artists, the writers, the actual content that's in the stories, why we should be caring about the stories, what could be happening next in the stories. And that was kind of like the thing that I kind of missed in a lot of the panels from back in the day. Because when you went to panels like Marvel panels and stuff to that magnitude, they always had enough there to kind of get your mouth watering for, I can't wait to read the next Hulk story. And they up here talking about there's about to be a brand new character that could do X, Y, and Z to the Hulk. I got to read that. Or they're about to be, some type of event that will would have a dire effect for Tony Stark. They would give you those nuggets to be like, I'm ready to, eat up the next couple of issues of this title because of the simple fact that they gave me something to go off of. We're not doing that anymore. Now, mind you, the audience have changed a lot in comics. The advent of things such as crowdfunding had happened. And surprisingly enough, and again, excuse me for the shout out to Tyler James here, has an excellent community for those who are wanting to do crowdfunding campaigns on Kickstarter. But the crowdfunding audience, a lot of times, don't always cross back over to other titles. And it's weird. The Those who crowdfund their comic also have to realize that the audience that they get from crowdfunding platforms such as Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Fund My Comic become fans of you. Not necessarily of your books, but they usually have to become a fan of you for this to work a lot better. Once they become a fan of you, then you could put out whatever book that you want and everything, and they will go ahead and hopefully invest in it. And yes, I'm using the word invest because of the simple fact that crowdfunding is more of an investment, or at least the idea behind these platforms is that you're investing in a project that is soon to come out. And as a, how can I say it this way? In exchange for your investment, you're getting first rights to whatever tier that you invest at. It's not, and they specifically make certain that to say that no, this is not a purchase of a product. This is an investment. And that's one of the things that people need to know about crowdfunding. And I talked about this before too. You have to look at crowdfunding campaigns and platforms such as Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and Fund My Comic as escrow accounts. You're giving them money that will sit in this one campaign until the campaign is over with. Once the campaign is over with, after the platform makes certain that the creator of the campaign cross their T's, dot their I's, and lowercase J's and everything, finally gives them the money. And then after they get the money, it is now up to them to fulfill that promise here. But that platform is no longer responsible at that point. Now, the checks and balances of this stuff is more kind of like, I wouldn't say up in the air, but it is clear and it's direct here. They make certain that those who invest understands that it's buyer beware or investor beware. But also at the same time here, they also make certain that the creators of these campaigns be truthful to your word, fulfill your campaign. If you don't fulfill your campaign, you're no longer welcome here on this platform. But they make it clear that you're not buying a product. You're investing in people's ideas. And that's kind of like another kind of like sticking point about the audiences, because those who want to invest in comics, not really investing in titles, not really wanting to invest in like a Marvel or DC title, they're really investing in the people who are really putting forth that effort to create that next big thing here. Now, mind you, I'm in my second year taking time away from crowdfunding. Why? Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of marketing, advertising, and you will work just as hard to sell your book on those platforms, just like you will work just as hard if you were working a 9 to 5. It's not easy. People think crowdfunding is easy. Nowhere close to it. But when you think about the aspect of how do we build the right audience to go and look into these types of things here, we the people who are already in this hobby have to make certain that the doors are open. We have to start doing a lot more content about it. People need to start doing more and more interviews with artists and writers and everything. It takes little to nothing, to say to like, hey, hey, such and such writer here, you got 5 to 20 minutes where I could do a quick little interview, if you don't mind. And if you don't mind if I record it, it would go a great, a great long way to get people acquainted with you and your books and everything. Those types of things go a long, long, long way of promoting the more positive aspects of this industry. The more we get away from the monetary value and get back to the value of good storytelling or the overall historical value of a lot of the comics from yesteryear, and keeping that enthusiasm, not for the people who have been here for years, but for the newer people who might be into it, whether if they are 6 years old or 106 years old. Comic is for everybody, and you have to look at how do you get people back into it. How do you make it friendly enough where people don't feel like, oh my goodness, I'm about to spend half my budget only on one book. This is why I want to get back to doing content. It's like, how do you dollar bin die? How do you quarter bin die? Stuff to that magnitude. It's just kind of like one of those things here. So Parallax is responding here. Would I rather create more than crowdsource? Yes, I would rather take my own money and make certain that the book happens than to crowdfund it. The reason why I say that here, Aaron, is that with crowdfunding, there is more overhead that I have to worry about. And when I say more overhead, with a crowdfunding campaign, technically you could just crowdfund the book, but people are expecting more for their dollar. So now I have to look at, maybe I have to get some art prints done. I probably have to buy tchotchkes and stuff to that magnitude, such as, and when I say tchotchkes, I'm talking about keychains, buttons, stickers, whatever floats people's boat to make it seem like they're getting more of a overall package for the amount of money that is being talked about. One of the things that I did for previous crowdfunding campaigns, I opened up the door for one-of-one sketch covers. I had a couple of people who took me up on it, and they loved what I did. But those are the types of things that I said that overhead related that comes into play. When I create the books on my own dime, I don't have to worry about the extras that I might have to put in, which drives up the expense of my crowdfunding campaign beyond what I would like it for it to be here. When I do the books on my own, off of my own dollar, once the book is done, I'm not obligated to do a variant cover like I would have to do for a crowdfunding campaign. I'm not obligated to opening door for sketch covers or opening the door for 8.5 by 11 prints or opening up the door for glitter stickers or opening up the door for something, that was like really off the wall, like a special package box set. I don't have to go that route. And then on top of that, I don't have to do a daily advertisement. I don't have, as they say, beat the drum for 30 days or 60 days in a campaign each and every day saying my project is out there. I'm looking for people to help fund it. Our goal is such and such, such and such, and we're so many percents away from it. Doing that every day, doing a email newsletter just about every day to keep people up to date as far as what's going on as a whole to those who have bought in before. It's not an easy thing doing crowdfunding. And on top of that, I also feel that crowdfunding should eventually get you to the point where you could become self-sustainable. You shouldn't have to crowdfund each and every time you create a brand new book. And nope, there's Tat. How's it going, Tat? And then everybody's saying, "What's up, Tat?" Try to get my dog to chill out. Uh-oh, who upset the dog? It's like I'm going to try to work in my comic room this week. Oh, okay. Nice. I'm almost done. Tat and the video will be coming for that. Cool. Yeah, I saw your bid and started to get excited about your Alpha Flight. Oh no. Oh no. Hopefully a certain individual is not here to see that. Shh, don't tell Leia. She gets real excited. Yep. Sorry, my bad. Hopefully she forgives us. Yep. It was a dream I had. Yep. But saying all that to say, we can make things a lot better. And not to say that, never speculate on books. That's not what I'm saying here. I just more not along the lines of speculating stuff just for financial gain in some form or some aspect here without having legitimate proof of it. The whole thing about the Michael Jackson Thriller homage is not something that should drive up a price of a comic book the way that it is now, especially since there is no demand for it. I could say the exact same thing about the Gen 13 Rolling Stones cover, Janet Jackson Rolling Stones cover. The demand for it is not like it was back when they first released it. If anything, it should have either bottomed out or leveled off to a point where it should be sustainable at that level. Now, like I said before, I'm not saying that, that issue shouldn't have a bump. I'm not saying that it should be like $1 book. I'm reasonable, it's like I'm saying, it's like, what, no more than 15, 10 to 15, somewhere around there. It makes sense. But what some people are out there on eBay trying to charge for it? No. What some people who are out here on a lot of these comic auction sites are raising the price to just to get their hands on it, it's not needed. It really isn't. It's like just because you might have $100 to spend on it does not necessarily mean that you need to bid $100 on it. Just saying. Do your homework. Know what the book is really worth. And like I said, I did my homework. I looked at what was going on. And like I said, usually when I do set that price of max bid after doing that homework, I'm usually spot on. And what I lost the book for was literally pennies. Pennies away. Not, and when I say pennies away, it's usually within that $5 range of what the book should be valued at. So, it's kind of like one of those aspects of doing the homework, being positive about it, because I could be salty, be like, all of these, so-called dude bros ruining everything. I felt like they ruined the price of the book for me, but it doesn't ruin my love for the books, being a creator or being a collector. It does make me mad that people are spending more money than what they should be spending. That part still makes me mad. But what do I do? Instead of just getting upset and just complaining and bitching about it, I come out here and be like, look, I get it. You're excited. You had the money to do it. I'm glad that you spent your money on it. However, let's talk about this. Let's put apples to apples. Let's do some comparisons. Let's see how you can start making better investments and start getting your books in a better fashion and not really worrying about a lot of the tedious overhead that is created by some of the speculation that is out there. And Aaron said, I remember the old Spectacular Spider-Man comic was pricey because it was when the Hobgoblin um, gained his goblin strength, not worth the yeah. But at least that was speculation based upon the story. Now, how well people love that story determines how long that bump is going to stay up there. And that bump didn't stay up there very, very long. It came back down. I could say the same thing about Maximum Carnage. When Maximum Carnage was a thing, good luck at getting your hands on those issues for anywhere up under $40 up in 90s money. Good luck. You're paying through the roof. But now, you got dealers out there talking about it's like, oh yeah, pay me $120, $130, but yet the demand for Maximum Carnage is not like it was. However, I still see a little of that demand still out there for things like Venom Lethal Protector from Volume 1. It's weird. It's very weird, but the demand is still out there. I'm not, knocking the fact that the demand is still out there, but because the demand is out there, it makes sense for that book to still be obscenely high, despite the fact that to me the books are still a little bit too common. It's not as short run as other books here. We got a couple comics in the house. How's it going? And it looks like the person's name is Will. Everybody's green, and Aaron's green. Will. Yeah, it's like I like to find first appearances, but I don't go crazy on the price. I try to find price that I'm good with. And that's the thing about doing your homework. And everything. And my ultimate goal is still within reach, to be quite honest here. At least one of my ultimate goals. And for those who don't know, what one of my ultimate goals here is that I'm going to complete Volume 1 of Wonder Woman. And for those who may not know, how close am I to doing that? I'm within the last 115 issues of doing so. And when I say the last 115 issues, this is, issues of Wonder Woman. I would say the majority of them will be from issue like 150 and below. I go that deep in Wonder Woman from Volume 1 all the way to today. So it's kind of like one of those things that, yeah, I have to take my time. I have to be good with those prices here, because now, since I'm getting closer and closer to sub 100 and below, those books are not cheap. When we start going from like $60 to $70 to $100 books to maybe $300, $400, $500 books at a pop, you gotta take your time. You like Tad is saying, you have to be good with those. You have to be good with the price. Have to be. That's a good question. What is your favorite speculative comic? Also, I believe I found it once and found it again. Yep. But that is a good question. What is your guys' favorite speculative comic? Because I think a lot of books that I'm into are not really speculated all that much. And a few I didn't even think I actually had, like Ultimate Fallout 4. I still feel like it's an overly speculated book. And I don't think I have the other one. The Marvel Point One. I have the second appearance of the Green Goblin. That's a cool one. That's actually a cool one. Well, I'm trying to think of speculated books that I owned. I mean, there's X-Men books that I know that are speculated right now, like X-Men #4, the first Omega Red. I own a couple of copies of that. I'm trying to think. Trying to think of something that's really like speculative here. Always like to complete volumes of runs. I like I did with Web of Spider-Man. Web of Spider-Man is a good series. Is a good series to do that in volume 1. Transformers X Factor. X Factor. I think I did that with volume 3 of X Factor. I got every last issue of volume 3. Matter of fact, hold on. I can tell you right now. One of the reasons why I go to storage each and every Saturday because I'm still organizing these books. And organizing these books in such a way that I know what I have here, and I could get to the point where the people who I've been trying to partner up with, we could start doing the whole thing about the museum and gallery aspect of it here. That's why I say it. That's why I always talk about more about the historical aspect of comics as opposed to the financial. Yeah, we always like to make money off the books that we spend here, but it's just one of those things that if you go that route, you could you could lose your pants real quick here. Yeah, I got all of volume 3. I got all of volume 3. I'm still missing a whole bunch of issues from volume 1 here, Tab. But yeah, I got all of volume 3 of X Factor, Silver Surfer volume 3, and I found AFO. Ooh, that was interesting. That's interesting that you found that in a blind bag. I would say Wolverine #1, both the limited and unlimited. Unlimited to me is not as highly speculated as the limited series here, and I feel the limited series is over speculated. I just see too many copies flowing around here, and everybody and their grandmother is paying over, anywhere between $80 to $100 for some of the worst copies of it for no apparent reason. But that's just me. I mean, if you're a Wolverine fan, go for it. Heck, come to think about it, I think I know I bought issue #2 of that series that was in a cracked slab at a heavily discounted price. And if it wasn't in a cracked slab, I probably would have passed on it. Also had the first Craven 100. That's also another good issue. Almost done with organizing the back room. Once that is done, I guess what goes into the ZLZ. Yep. This little, granted, hold on. There we go. That little bitty app right there. That is a keeper. And it's a keeper because it helps you understand what you got, why you got it, and how you got it here. But yeah, that is a godsend. CLZ. I drew on my short boxes top X Factor #1. Short boxes. Volume one. Yep, right on. Yeah, I have pickups on my own box tops on IG. Yeah, I really need to. Well, Aaron is up here telling me you need to do a video from your storage area. Right now, I'm working on close to like 60 short boxes of comics, and those 60 doesn't even cover all the books that I got up in storage. But I'm working from 60. I need to buy some more. It's cool that you're drawing your short boxes tab. Yep, thanks. But again, that to me, drawing on your short boxes make those boxes more valuable. Sometimes probably more valuable than the books that's inside those short boxes. But then again, it's like it really depends on how people love your artwork one way or the other here. But that's come back down to, where I find that, even the conversation that we're having here is where we need to be as far as people who are either in the industry or in the hobby, really sitting down and getting people to say, it's like, yeah, you can still be creative. You could, design your own boxes. You could do all this neat stuff with everything, despite the fact of the overall pricing that you're looking at for the books and everything. I mean, there's some books that I have in storage that I know that I probably wouldn't be able to get rid of, even at if I did them at a quarter. Like Onslaught #1. I got a whole stack of Onslaught #1s that if I did them at $1 a piece, they still would sit because too many people already have it. Heck, even on Whatnot, I have things such as a full run of Hulk Volume 3. And Hulk Volume 3, for people who don't know, that was the Gray She-Hulk run. And I had it in such a way where you get issues 1 through 14 or 15. And then I also had another set of Jennifer Walters Must Die, which came at the very end, which went back to the legacy numbering, which is all encompassing in that volume 3. People won't take me up on that offer. So it just really depends on what people are selling, what people are looking for, and everything to that magnitude. And what's weird about it is that I was selling that set for like $40. I wasn't price gouging people, knowing good and well that some of those issues, if I would have went on speculative pricing, would have been a lot more. But it is what it is here. Yeah, I mean, all that stuff helps here. All that stuff helps. But just like today, I have verified today in storage that I had a lot more Vampirella books than I realized. I have full runs of Volume 1 from Dynamite, Volume 2 from Dynamite, and I'm missing like other volumes here. Yeah, all of Volume 1, all of Volume 2, all of Volume 4, but I'm missing issues of Volume 5, Volume 6, and Volume 7. And then I have like all of the Volume 2 of Vampirella Strikes from Dynamite and some of the other miniseries, such as Vampirella Fairy Tales, Vampirella Southern Gothic, Vampirella The Red Room. All of those I have them in order and collected here. You ain't so right. When you sell your books, you have to have the people who want it. Yep, I agree. And you have to be able to work on a price that makes both parties happy. And I don't price gouge. I really don't price gouge. I mean, you have to think about it. It's like that run of Hulk by itself, if you go to like a regular comic book store, even at $3 an issue, you know, a 14 issue run would automatically put you right around $40. I'm giving you the full run plus the tail end of the Jennifer Walters Must Die, the full run of that, all for 40. And the Jennifer Walters Must Die, those are like $5 books now. So I just I just don't know. I mean, but then again, not everybody is a She-Hulk fan. Not everybody is a Wonder Woman fan. Though, and I know for a fact these are hard to find books to come about, and I cover pretty much wait, yeah, I cover pretty much 5 volumes, even though there's 6 out there, not including the absolute stuff. And I'm not selling anything from volume 6 as of yet because I don't have like things in triplicate like I do for like volume 5, volume 4, volume 3, and volume 2. Volume 1 stuff, some of the golden age stuff that I have extras of, I'm charging no more than $20. And then people just be like, meh. If it ain't invincible, they're not going for it. I just got through selling the one version variant that I had of Something Killing the Children. I believe it was like Something Killing the Children like 18. That just recently sold on whatnot through my store. So it just kind of like it is what it is here. Yeah, I got everything from Uncanny X-Men from volume 1 all the way through like volume 4 without missing a issue here. See, Uncanny. See, Uncanny, I got everything from volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. I still have to find my issue 24. I will have all of volume 3, and it's just like issue 4. I'm missing just a few issues of issue 4, and 5 and 6 I never really collected, but volumes 1 through 4 I pretty much have without any problems. Same thing with Wonder Woman. It's like from like 161 to the present, I have every last issue, and that covers 6 volumes. It's not an easy thing to keep up with all of those books here. It then as you add on to it to as you fill in gaps. In my case, filling in gaps of number one, of volume 1. It's not an easy task here. Just like with Film Force from AC Comics, the last half of it, because Film Force is now over 200 issues here. As soon as I pay for what I just bought from this one store, I would have from like issue 1 to like issue 110, I believe, close to like 110 without breaking the series, without breaking an issue. And then it's like the last half of the Film Force series that I need to find a way to get those issues. And it's going to be hard because all of them became very short run. And when we talk about very short run, I believe it was like somewhere on the average of 20,000 copies of each issue. It wasn't a whole bunch ever printed. So that it makes it a lot harder run to pick up when you get towards the tail end of that series here. But that's like I said, that's collection. That's dealing with collections and everything to that magnitude. Just like I'm trying to fill in odds and ends stuff, as Aaron would say. It's not really indies from the 80s. It would just be independents across the decades here. Trying to fill in things such as like Double Impact and Razor and stuff to that magnitude. Oh, another one that I'm trying to actually go back and collect, and I used to tease my friend about it here, even though I read just about every issue of his. I've been going back to getting Liberty Medals, Frank Cho's very first comic series of his that he created, was called Liberty Medals. Indies from the 80s. Yeah, see, Film Force would definitely be indies from the 80s. I'm not certain if Razor is, but I know Film Force is. Film Force would definitely be indies from the 80s. Liberty Metals is independent from the 90s, but it's just weird in that aspect here. Yeah, okay, so Razor was early 90s. Okay. I know you have it. You constantly tell me, it's like I already got it. Speaking of which, I have to go through my Archie collection again, because I'm getting close to like having a lot of the volume 1 of Jughead, and I'm getting close to like going back far enough in Josie where I could pretty much say that it's like, yeah, outside of a handful of stuff, that is just really. It's like my oldest X-Men is X-Men 12. You love Liberty Medals, only need like 7 more to complete them. See? Yep. Yep. Unfortunately, I don't feel like breaking out the box here for, it's like, to show some of the stuff that I got here. It's like I know issue 1, issue 2, issue 3, issue 8. I slabbed all of those here, and I know I got a couple more that are slabbed that are here at the house because they're higher end books. And I just don't like keeping that type of stuff in storage. Yeah, issue 1 is a 1.8, issue 2 is a 2.0. My issue 3 is, dang it, I hate when this thing scrolls. It's a 7.5. The issue 8 is a 3.0. And then the other ones are in like the hundreds. I think I got like 90, 100, 101, and 102 graded. Yeah, surprisingly enough, I did not do any of the more popular stuff that people are going goo goo gaga over right now. So like first Gambit, I don't have slab. First Jubilee, I don't have slab. However, I think I got first Forge slab, which is weird. But then I bought that slab, so to each their own. I just don't. I just don't, really make a big deal out of that here. Okay, yeah, there we go. 97 is a 8.5. My 100 is a 8.80, and the 101 First Phoenix. First Phoenix is a 7.5, and that's for my personal ones. That's from the ones that I actually picked up and bought copies of it. And then First Forge, which was 184, is a 9.6. So I have a 9.6 First Forge. So yeah, I still got a lot more. So yeah, power poof girl, power poof, power poof, not puff, poof, power poof. Yeah, one of my favorite indies is Cold Blooded. See, come in. Oh, sorry about the wrong spelling. See, I never heard of. No, actually, I heard of it. I never really read any of it. But now since I'm going back and like really trying to get more into the older stuff, like for example, Angel and the Ape is something that most people won't go back and reread. Um, I've been slowly getting back into the challengers of the unknown again, the older stuff, not the newer stuff, the older stuff I've been trying to get into again and trying to complete that run. But it's just so much stuff that's out there that it just doesn't make it's not doesn't make any sense to just go out there and spend a big bag of money to have it all right here and right now. You're always going to take your time, spend your money wisely and efficiently. For me, it's not always about getting that 9.8 right off the bat here. It's about getting something that you are comfortable with. And if you can afford to upgrade later, upgrade later. That's why I love doing like the 99-cent auctions, the 49-cent auctions, and stuff like that over some of these other platforms. You could get a lot of books for real cheap here. But anyway, people, we went over an hour and 45 minutes here. I want people to enjoy the rest of their Saturday if they're on the East Coast here. That gives them about 15 to 10 minutes of their Saturday left, or else they're going to be in the future on a Sunday here. Oh, and Hamster Vice. Hamster Vice was fun. Hamster Vice seems like it was fun here. Hamster Vice seems like that would be fun. Not a problem. Thank you so much here, Tad. Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you to everybody who watched here. If you have questions and everything, feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We just went over our 100 subscriber mark again. Thank you, everybody, for that here. Oh, now she's still back playing Marvel Rivals. She's addicted to Marvel Rivals. So don't forget to like and subscribe here. I will be back next week here. We're going to be talking more comics and everything. Thank you so much, Couple Comics. Thank you so much here. Oh, Boris the Bear, I don't get. I know it's a parody book. I know Boris the Bear is a parody book, but I just really don't get it. I don't get why people love it so much. I believe I got like 2 copies. No, take that back. It was a 3-issue story arc of Boris the Bear. It was later issues of Boris the Bear. I want to say it was more like either 9, 10, 11 or 10, 11, and 12. But it was like late issues of Boris the Bear. And I don't see what some people see in Boris the Bear. Maybe it's just me and just the story type. I understand it's a parody. It's parody, just like how Cerebus is parody. I'm not a big fan of Cerebus. I'm actually selling some Cerebus issues, but it's kind of like it is what it is. But anyway, as I always say, live life, grow and be well. And I'll see you right here next week, next Saturday, same time, same channel for another episode of From the Desk of Small Press Publisher. See you later.